This is something that we consider very important, so I will ask for your attention once again. And I know that you're going to prove me right, as I've told Dr. Mills, our school board member, how wonderful our students are and how many accolades we have received for your behavior. So without further ado, let's go ahead and invite Dr. Mills up to welcome our guest speakers this morning. So give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Ms. Beauchamp, and thank you for having us here and understanding the importance of people coming to speak into our young people's lives. Each and every one of you, when I look out at you, I see wonderful, wonderful people. I see treasure in each of you. You know, we are a Kids at Hope treasure hunter community. And a treasure hunter is an adult who sees the treasure in each and every one of our young people. So when I look at you and when I go around to other schools, each individual person that I see out of my eyes is unique. You all have your gifts, you all have your abilities. You know, there's things that you're not good at, there's things that you're very good at. In fact, just last night while we were shopping, because this is the Christmas season, one of my things that I'm not good at is directions. You know, I can walk out of a store and say, now which way do I go? And my daughter, who's a federal judge, has the same problem as her mama has. She could be somewhere where you just think, now she should know where she's going. But that is not her strong point. Her father, on the other hand, is very good with directions. So we've been blessed to have someone very good in that area to help us that are weak in that area. So together, we are able to be strong. You cannot be strong by yourself. Have anybody ever heard about no man is an island? You can't do it by yourself. We need one another. We are connected with one another. We are the human race, and we're all family in some form or fashion. So we have a lot of similarities, but we are also very, very different. And when I look at you, I see a variety of strengths and skills and wonderful, wonderful mixture of people that make America so great. And together we will continue to be the great country that we are. You know, there are many people have given their lives. That's why I'm very respectful of the military and so forth. So many people gave their lives so that we could have the freedom that we have today. And we, even as women, or as minorities, we're able to have the same rights as others because people came together and gave their lives for the cause. So that's what I'm here for. This is very serious to me. And every school that I go to in St. Lucie County, I am so proud to say our students really are attentive when we come with the speakers, and they really do receive what we come to give, which is our gift. So we're bringing, once again, a gift to each and every one of you. And the gift is someone in your community that has become very successful in their own lives, but had the same challenges that you go through. And so we have a variety of people come so that you can understand that everybody goes through. I'm going through stuff right now in my life. We all go through. I get on the phone and talk to some of my closest friends. They're telling me the things that they're going through in their family and their situation. We all have issues and problems that we must overcome in life. And I want all of you to be overcomers. I want all of you to be strong and be successful citizens here in our county and in our community, so therefore we can be a great nation. So that's what the Speakers Bureau is all about, to inspire you to be the best that you can be. And I hope that you're getting that. Today we do have a speaker. His name is attorney Donald Watson, and he's one of the partners of a law firm. He is an attorney. He also brought the young man that's here, Ricky Ahmad, again with him, who was our speaker last month. Did you enjoy Attorney Ahmad? Okay. So he's back. And now he's back he must have enjoyed you also, because he's back as a listener and in the audience. So they are from the law firm. Thank you, young man. I just saw something. This is what I'm looking for. People to be independent and not let other people sway them. Just saw something in the audience, and you're a wonderful audience, but my degree is in psychology, so I'm always watching human behavior, and I watched how the person next to him responded. They didn't give in to his acting up and trying to get his attention. They were independent, and their life is going to be successful because they're a leader of their own life. With that being said, we have before you Attorney Donald Watson, and he's from the law offices of Gary, Williams, Parenti, Watson, and Gary. Would you put your hands together for Attorney Watson?
Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time I've been climbing on, and reaching landings, and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark, where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps 'cause you find it's kind of hard. Don't you fall now. For I still going, honey. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. That's a poem by Langston Hughes called Mother to Son. I brought the book because I want to emphasize the importance of reading. And indeed, life for me has not been a crystal stair. I was born May 1st, 1953 in a car. I wasn't even born in a hospital. How did I get born in a car? Well, we lived in a small town in Georgia. My father was a brick mason. After he came out of World War II, he did the GI Bill and became a brick mason. So he used to do jobs in different places. And I was the fifth of 8 children. So my mother was very pregnant with me, and we didn't have a car. So the only way for her to get to the hospital was for the doctor to come and get her. Well, the doctor was on another call, and he was taking care of another patient, so he got delayed. So by the time he got there to get my mother, she was almost ready to deliver. So they headed out to the hospital, and then they hit a railroad track. The way I hear it, they hit a railroad track bump, boom, and that was me. I was born. Not the ideal way to be born, but I'm here nonetheless. I think we were probably about 6 years old before we got a car. I was probably about 6 years old before we got a car. My mother used to take all 6 of us who could walk. We had 2 twins who are the youngest. They'd be she must have had a double stroller, because she would take all 6 of us in the stroller to the park to have fun, because we didn't have a car. And then when we did get a car, I remember we were all 8 of us in it. I don't think we had on seatbelts, probably not, but in Ohio they have a lot of big hills. It was a blue Oldsmobile, about 1957. We were all going down the hill, and the brakes gave out. It wasn't a real good car. So my mom was trying to avoid hitting anything. She threw it in reverse. She threw on the emergency brake. Nothing would happen. And we were coming to an intersection. My father said, "You're going to have to take the tree." So boom. She said, "Brace it." She told us all to brace. Boom, she ran into that tree. And my brother, who's passed away, had a busted lip, but thank the Lord, none of us, other of us were hurt much. But soon after that, we were able to start getting cars. I remember one time I was sitting on the plane. We've been blessed to take our children to a lot of different places: San Francisco, Washington, D.C., New Orleans. We were on the plane getting ready to go to D.C., and my son asked me, "Daddy, why aren't we in first class?" I said, "Boy, you don't know." When I was growing up, vacation was we'd put all 10 of us in a station wagon, and then we'd go down south. Down south was from Akron, Ohio, down to Elberton, Georgia, where I was born. But we had good times. We had fun. We didn't believe in moping around being sad. We believed in being happy, enjoying our family, enjoying one another, and being thankful. And our father and mother taught us to be thankful. They taught us to value things. They taught us to work at an early age. We had to do chores around the house. We had to do bathrooms and mop the floors, etc. And I always believed that if I did it, I wanted it to be excellent. I said, what's the point of mopping the floor if you don't get it clean? And that's been one of my philosophies in life. If I do something, I always want it to be excellent. Now, I wasn't an excellent ball player. I wasn't an excellent athlete. Matter of fact, we used to have, I don't know if y'all do this now, but we used to have a way where you choose teams. And each team would choose, let's say you had 8 players. Each team would get 4 picks. Well, basically they didn't have to say my name because whoever had the last pick automatically got me because I wasn't good. But my brothers were good. 2 of them played college football. But I said, well, okay, that's not my strong points. I'm going to emphasize my strong points, which was academics. So I always liked to read. I always liked to study. I always liked to do well in school. And I've been the victim of things. I've been the victim of abuse sometimes. I've been the victim of bullying. I remember one time I was in high school, there was a guy he was kind of short guy. But he always liked to bully people. He always liked to talk about what he was going to do to somebody. And so, we were playing basketball one time, and he fouled me. And I said, and I think I probably said intentional foul. So the guy, he went, boo, boo, right in my face. I was like, this guy didn't even hit that hard. So how am I going to react? I was about a junior in high school. I'm not going to get kicked out of school fighting this guy. I just walked away from it. And when somebody bullies you, you can walk away from it. It's not about your reputation. It's about your future. So I was like, no, I'm not getting kicked out of school messing with this guy. And I went ahead and went about my business. I saw him when I went back to Ohio a couple years ago. We're great friends, no problem. But what Langston Hughes was saying, to the mother and the son, is no matter how hard life is, no matter what things face you or face us, we have to overcome them. We still have to overcome them. So I was blessed to get a scholarship to go to Yale University. And I didn't have the money to go. And my parents didn't have the money to go. They said, okay, well, you get financial aid, you get scholarship, you get work study, etc. So they said, we figured that your parents would have to pay about $1,500 the first year and then more after that. Guess what? My parents didn't have $1,500 lying around. My dad worked hard. My dad worked 2 jobs. My mother worked. Matter of fact, I remember my mother used to work nights. She worked from like 11 o'clock in the evening to 7 o'clock in the morning. So she used to be leaving the house about 11:15 to go to work at a hospital. She was a nurse's aide. It used to break my heart to see my mother driving away to go to work. And when she came home in the morning, she wasn't coming home cooking. She came home, coming home to rest. So guess what? We learned how to cook at an early age, young men. We learned how to take care of our own clothes. We learned how to iron our clothes. We learned all of that at an early age. And we learned how to work at an early age. Matter of fact, I started cutting grass probably when I was about 10 or 11. And in Ohio, we used to have snow. Sometimes it gets up to several feet. And if it snowed too much for us to go to school, we go out, shovel snow, make some money. Because we had to eat. We had money to eat, but we had to do other things. We had to have clothes. We generally would buy our own clothes. When we were in junior high, sometimes our parents would buy us 1 pair of blue jeans and maybe 2 or 3 shirts for school and maybe 1 other pair of pants. And that was it. The rest of it you had to try to make do on your own. And we had a lot of hand-me-downs. See, I had two older brothers, and when they got finished wearing something and it was still wearable, wasn't no Goodwill. We were the Goodwill. They gave it down to us. And guess what? We said thank you, and we wore it. Even if it wasn't in style, it was in our style because it was in our closet and it was in our wardrobe. I remember I used to have one pair of shoes. Have any of you ever had to put cardboard in your shoes? Never, you probably know what I'm talking about. We used to wear those shoes down so much that there'd be a hole in the bottom. Before we could get our next pair of shoes, you had to put cardboard in there to hold you off until you had money to get another pair of shoes. But we were happy. And when I worked as a paper boy. That wasn't a great job. In the snow, rain, and sleet, dogs. Plus, Akron Beacon Journal wasn't paying you right. But it was something I had to overcome. I had to do because we had to take care of our school clothes. So when I got to high school, wasn't no, well, Mom, I need a class ring, or Dad, we need you to please give us money for the prom, et cetera. It wasn't that. It was, we had jobs. I worked at McDonald's. Yeah, they had McDonald's back then. I mean, they were new, but they had McDonald's back then. I think back then at McDonald's, you could get like, for $1, they gave us a $1.50 eating allowance. You could get like 2 burgers and fries, apple pie, plus strawberry shake. And I earned $1.25 an hour at McDonald's. And that was sufficient at the time for me to do what I needed to do to help my family out. But in about 2 years, after several months at McDonald's, in my junior year, I started working at Acme, and I got a raise to $2 an hour. And I was able to help do things around the family for that. But we had a 2-story house. We had a 1 bathroom, 10 people in the house. Ladies, we had 1 bathroom, 3 sisters and my mom. But there was a parents' room, there was a girls' room, and there was the boys' room. 5 brothers in 1 room, 2 beds. 3 of us had to share a bed. We had to share cover. I mean, it was cold in Ohio. I remember those guys, 2 of my brothers played college football, and those were the youngest ones, so we all had to share the bed together. So it was like, if you weren't in the middle, you had trouble when it get cold at night because the cover wasn't going. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's pulling the cover here, somebody's pulling the cover there, and it's like everybody wants their space. It was rough, but it was doable. It was manageable. We got through that. So when I had gotten to high school, and they said, okay, you got to pay all this money. My parents wanted me to go as far as I could in school, but they didn't have the money. So we had to come up with another plan. But guess what? The more I helped myself, the more someone else helped me. And there was a doctor who was in our neighborhood and saw that what we were trying to do. We're getting ready to go to one of the best schools. I say one of the best colleges in the nation. And so they helped us out. They said, okay, well, they gave us scholarship from a class. They gave me scholarship from a church. And then he said, okay, well, after a couple of years, they said, well, we're not going to give you any more scholarship. We're going to help somebody else. So the doctor said, well, I tell you what, I'll lend you the money, interest-free. And he lent me the money, and I paid him every single penny back. If I ever see some of his grandchildren or whatever, I want to bless them. But he's passed away now. But when you want to help yourself, there's somebody to help you. I remember when I got into college, let me see what time it is. Okay. When I got into college, I didn't have a real good, strong academic background. I mean, I had a good academic background, but you had people at Yale from Choate Academy and Exeter Academy. You had people like the Kennedys, and you had people who were several generations of wealth and several generations of going to the best schools in the nation. I came from an inner city school, and we were blessed. We had good teachers and everything, but we didn't have a swimming pool. We didn't have facilities. We didn't have some of the same training that they had. But guess what? I didn't go to Yale to leave Yale. I didn't go there to drop out. I didn't go there to flunk out. Now, I've been blessed. I think I've never had a D in a class, and I've never flunked a class. But I did have trouble with a course called calculus. Y'all heard of calculus? I remember I got in that calculus class, and a lot of the folks had the background. I didn't have a background, so they asked a question in class. I wanted to try to participate in class, and I went up and I gave an answer kind of like something what I'd heard the other people say, and the teacher shot me down for the rest of the semester. I don't think I answered another question, but guess what, though? We had a system where they were going to give us a quiz probably once a week, a 10-point quiz. So the quiz was supposed to count for half your grade. And I think they might, don't know if they told us up front, but they were going to throw out the bottom 2 scores. So they gave us the quiz. I remember staying up, studying for calculus about 1 o'clock in the morning, and boy, when I went to sleep, problems would be, you have to talk about nightmares, calculus problems going through my head, boom, boom. But I was studying, I was determined to make it. I remember that first quiz, I got a 0 out of 10. I said, what? I studied all this, I got a 0 out of 10. I could have not studied and got a 0. So I said, okay, let me study harder. So I studied again. The next quiz, I got a 0 out of 10. It's my best recollection. I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna get the hang of this eventually. So we had a third quiz, I got like a 2 out of, the third quiz I got like a 5 out of 10, which was still not passing. So I said, okay, I'm getting it now, I'm getting it. And then probably the next one, I got a 10 out of 10, and I started getting 10s out of 10s the rest of the year, and they threw out the last 2, and I got the equivalent of a B in the class. But guess what? It was not easy, but it was possible. It doesn't have to be easy, it has to be doable. And so I graduated, I had a class, I had a major in psychology also. So I like to study people. But I graduated from Yale, and I was getting ready to see what I wanted to do. I thought I might want to stay in college in psychology, but I said, okay, well, let me look at law school. I worked for a year at a social service program, and I had a scholarship to law school where I didn't have to pay I never paid any tuition for law school, thank the Lord, not a penny of tuition. But they said, well, okay, we'll do this. We'll give you I had a scholarship, but I didn't have any way to pay for room and board. Well, I was making like $8,000 a year. I don't know if y'all familiar with salaries, but $8,000 a year roughly. And so I said, well, I'm gonna pay room and board. If I stay here, I might as well take a chance, go down to Miami, and if I can't pay the room and board, I'll just come back or go home or whatever. So I went down there, and when I got down there, folks wanted, when I found people to help me out, I found a dean that was helping me out, and we got loans. Again, I paid all my loans back, but I was able to go ahead and finish law school. So even though my parents didn't have the money for me to go to Yale, I have a Yale degree. And even though I didn't have the money to pay for room and board for University of Miami, I have a University of Miami law degree. So again, I want to just continue to emphasize, when you want to help yourself, there is someone who will also want to help you. So after I finished the law school, then I had to take the bar. They call it the bar exam. Why you call a test the bar exam? It's like you want to bar somebody from practicing law. That's really what it is. It's kind of like to weed it out. We used to have a game we play. Y'all probably don't play this, but there was a game we used to play called Crack the Whip. And Crack the Whip is you line up, like you may line up 10 people, and the leader, the captain or whatever of the team, well, it's not a team, it's a competition sport, but the first person swings around back and forth to try to get the last person to fall off, to lose, let go of the hand. If the person lets go of a hand, that person has lost the game. Law school is kind of like Crack the Whip. It's kind of like, we're going to try to see if we can make it as negative as possible to try to make these people lose their interest, lose their will, and leave law school. I never quite understood that. I'm like, well, if you allowed all these people to come in, you admitted them, why do you want them to leave? But that was kind of the way it was. But I was like, look, I'm not going to be cracked. I didn't come to law school to leave, but you know what? Actually, I did at some point decide to leave. I was like, well, I'm doing law school here, and it doesn't really relate to me. I don't understand. I understand the law. I'm good at the law, but I don't see what I would be doing in law. So actually, I really did. We used to study we studied like 7. No, we get up about 7, have breakfast, have class about 8:30 to about 12. Then you maybe have 2 hours or an hour or so for lunch. Sometimes we have time in the afternoon to go exercise. We play basketball. Or sometimes we run in the morning. We'd run 5 miles in the morning. And then you go to dinner. Then you come back after dinner, go do about another 5 hours in the library, and then come 12 o'clock, then you go to sleep, then you get up the next morning, then you do it again. I call law school kind of a no-rest schedule. We were taking 17 credits. I think you take normally about 15 credits for a normal college course. We were taking 17 credits, and we had a class that was 2 credits that was like the equivalent of like 2 classes. But that was it. I was saying, well, I can do this, but what is it worth? So I went to a professor, bless him, his name is Robert Waters, and he said, look, why don't you just go talk to a lawyer who's been through what you've been through and see what he says. So, because I had worked like 4 days, I worked 3 or 4 days that week, and I said, on that Sunday I said, that's it, I'm leaving, I'm gonna go home, I'm not gonna stay at law school. So about Tuesday and Wednesday I went to talk to him, and I went and talked to the lawyer, and then I got back. Okay, I said, okay, he said, you might as well finish the semester. I said, okay, I might as well finish the semester. So that Thanksgiving, I ate by myself at Holiday Inn. I was lonely in law school. And then I worked about 8 hours, and then I went ahead and finished law school. And then he said, after that, you might as well finish the next semester. So I said, okay. So I finished the next semester. I took a year off after my first year, went home to my parents, which was a blessing. I was able to spend the time with them. And then I went back. After I decided, okay, I can do this, I want to finish law school, I went back, made the dean's list, met my wife, who for 33 years, and so it all worked out well. But it was just, it was interesting because law school was a major, major challenge, but it was not impossible. I remember one time I was so broke. Y'all know what the word broke means? Y'all may never heard of that. But I remember I was down to my pennies, because I couldn't, when I started law school, I was like, okay, well, I'll work in the semester. I started the semester, I'll have to start with a job, because that's what I've always done. I've always had a job. I remember a guy he's passed away too, named Terry Percy, said, look, you're not gonna be working your first year of law school. When I got down there, I saw what he meant. And my parents didn't have money to send me, and different ones didn't have money to send me, but I said, okay, I'm just gonna make this. So I remember one time I had about $7, maybe $8. I had saved my pennies. I was down to my pennies. I had about $7 or $8 in pennies. So I rolled the pennies up. That was what I had left. So I went to a bank, and I said, okay, I got these rolls of pennies. Could you convert these pennies to dollars for me? Because I didn't want to take pennies into the restaurant, rolls of pennies. So the lady asked, well, do you have an account? What I need an account for? That's all the money I have in the world. What account for what? No, I don't have an account. She said, well, I'm sorry, we cannot do it. I took those pennies, went to wherever I was going to eat, ate, enjoyed it, and kept going. And then as I continued to practice law, there have always been challenges. But the key is never let the challenge define you, and never let the challenge hold you back. So even now, as Dr. Mills is saying, I still go through stuff. I'm going through stuff now. But guess what? I'm going through it. It's not going to stop me. It's not going to hold me back. And it's not going to keep me from getting to my destiny. That's a brief version of my life story, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Attorney Watson. We do have a couple of things we want to present to you. The principal also would like to present something to you as well. There's some things that he said today that I wrote down here, so I'm going to say them right quick so that you can kind of remember, get your mind to remember certain points that he mentioned today. He talked about perseverance, and he used the example of his calculus class and how he failed twice, 0 out of 10, but he persevered. Perseverance can really get you a long way in life. So the next time it was 5 out of 10, and he realized, I'm getting better at this. I may still have an F, but I am not going to quit. Today, he's part of one of the largest law firms that we have in this community, if not the largest. And they have brought in so much wealth within their law firm. So I got that. He talked about hard work. He talked about working at McDonald's. I've worked at McDonald's before. I've worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken before. You got to work wherever you can get a job when you get old enough, because if you will work hard, that will make a way for you in life. And don't mind starting small. You do what you need to do to have some money in your pocket. And then he talked about if you help yourself, someone else will be willing to help you. People don't want to help people who don't help themselves. They're looking for people that they can help that are helping themselves. And then he talked about how he enjoyed learning. I think that helped you through school as well. And yesterday, my 6-year-old stayed home from school, and he said to me, Nana, I don't want the school break to come because I love learning. I was just like shocked. So he's probably going to go far. But if you don't love learning, you still got to persevere and work hard. Okay, and last but not least, thank you, Attorney Watson, for telling us that major challenges will come in life, but it's not impossible. And never let your challenges define you. So we want to present to you today this small token, and we humbly present this to you from the Speakers Bureau, Manatee Academy, in gratitude for you coming to speak to us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And now we're going to put it into our principal's hands here.
And we also have a second. We also have a second certificate, which is to Attorney Donald Watson for educating our students at our Guest Speakers Bureau, Manatee Academy K-8. And we know, or some of you don't know, that an attorney's time is very valuable. And we have Mr. Watson and also his associate who came back to join us again today. And we are very appreciative of the time they've taken, not only to come here and spend time, the travel time, but it is very important for him to be able to share his success with you. So let's give him one more round of applause. So we're going to wrap it up, but as Dr. Mills has said, and we also thank Dr. Mills for allowing us this opportunity to present the Speakers Bureau to us monthly. But for those of you who listen in the morning to our morning announcements, and this week's quote of the week, and I'm going to read it to you again, is, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of others," and that's by Charles Dickens. And today we heard this attorney's story about how people helped him and how he persevered. And that's exactly what Charles Dickens was talking about when he said, "You've lightened the burden of somebody else." And somebody helped him to go to Yale. And if you don't know where Yale is or what a prestigious university Yale University is, I challenge you over the break to look at that, because I'm sure none of you, or very few of you, have actually met someone who has attended Yale. That's amazing. So keep those things in mind as you move forward. As I tell you, every time we have a Speakers Bureau, you don't necessarily allow one thing to define your life. There's different things in your life as you have different stories, and the fact that we can hear from so many people's stories and that they overcome challenges is amazing. So once again, thank you, boys and girls, for your attention at this time. And we thank Dr. Mills, and we're going to get a photo in a moment.